How's it going, everyone? My name is Naz, and I'll tell you a couple of things I love and I hate about this bike. So this is a 2003 Suzuki Sv650s. I've had this bike for the past 2 seasons. I bought it in the summer of 2015 and I absolutely love this thing. So let me get into the things that I love about this bike. For every new rider, the linear throttle that is on this bike is actually really good to learn on. What that means is for every little unit of the throttle that you twist, the RPM range increases by the same amount. So you don't get any spikes in the RPMs like you do in some of the super sports out there. The second thing that I absolutely love about this bike is the fact that the center of mass is somewhere around here. It's low, which means that when you're on it and when you're sitting on it and you're trying to get comfortable and you're moving around, it does not feel heavy. It feels very light, although it's like 440 pounds, I believe. The third thing that I love about this bike is the fact that the frame, the seat, the tank is all skinny, and for short riders out there, you don't want to be sitting on something that's wide because you won't be able to reach the floor. And although I tippy-toe this bike, I feel absolutely comfortable on it just because of the frame, just because of how skinny the frame is itself. Third thing I love about this bike is the fact that it's cheap. For new riders out there who are looking to spend somewhere in the $2,000 to $3,000 dollar range, you can get a really good SV for that price. As your first bike, you obviously don't want to spend $5,000 or more because you're going to be learning on this bike, and you will be dropping it. There will be scratches on it, and it hurts a lot less when the bike itself is cheap. So the fourth thing that I love about this bike is the power. I started out on this bike. This was my first bike, and I was really surprised by how manageable the power is. Because it has a linear throttle, you are in control of the power. Unlike on the super sports out there, which do not have a linear throttle, you will have a spike in power out of nowhere and it's gonna scare the crap out of you. On this bike, that's not the case. If you're planning to start on a 300, in my opinion, it's a bad idea. One, because you will spend about the same amount of money on a 300 or on a 250 like you will on this bike, but you will get tired of the 300 in the first month. I've been riding this bike for 2 seasons and I'm not tired of it yet. The fifth thing that I like about this bike is the fact that it's easily maneuverable. I took it on curvy roads in the mountains, and on corners it feels comfortable, it feels predictable, it's forgiving, which is most important for new riders, and it doesn't feel like it's just gonna slide from under your body, which is good. For new riders who plan on starting on 300s or 250s, although you will get a better experience in slow maneuvering, but once you move up to a 600, it's gonna be like getting on a brand new bike that you have to relearn and relearn how to maneuver all over again. So the Sv650 is definitely a good bike to start on. I'll move on to some of the things that I dislike about this bike. One of the things that I'm not a big fan of is the V-twin. This, unlike in most bikes, is a V-twin, which it's a 2-cylinder, 90 degrees. In most super sports, it's an inline 4, and the benefits of a V-twin is you get a lot of torque in the low to mid RPM range, which is, in my opinion, is good for the city because you're not constantly revving it to 12,000 RPM. But I prefer the sound that the inline 4 makes, and it has a wider RPM range. I believe they go up to like 18,000. This bike only goes up to 12,000 RPM. But this is more of a preference than a disadvantage. Some of you may like the V-twin. Another thing that I don't like about this bike is on long trips, I'm talking about like 2 hours of riding on the same road, the body position makes your wrists and your ass hurt. Let me show you. So the body position on this bike is very leaned over, it's very sporty, and if you're riding like this for 2 hours straight, your wrist starts to hurt, your ass starts to hurt, and you just have to pull over and relax for a little bit. But that may not be a disadvantage. Again, that's maybe a preference. The third thing that I may not like about this bike exactly is the soft springs that it has, the stock soft springs. I believe for this type of bike, which is a little bit more sportier, the suspension should be a little bit more stiffer. But I believe you can switch out the springs and change your shocks, which should solve that. But other than the things that I mentioned, there's nothing else that I don't like about this bike. It's just a really good platform to learn on and to start off on, and you won't get bored easily of it. So I definitely recommend this for new riders. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments section below and I'll answer them. So I'll see you guys later.